Ooh, I'm starving. Your boy Jezza here, still in this weird underworld. Please, help me. They told me if I did all the Animal Collective albums by the end of the month, they'd let me go. They never mentioned they'd be throwing in a few solo albums here and there. So here we are, part 7 of Animal Collective August, Panda Bear's Person Pitch. If you're wondering why the CD was never up before, it's because I actually forgot that I owned it. Like, it just never crossed my mind that it was sitting there on my CD shelf. And while preparing for this video, I was like, wait a second, I own this album. It's a very, very fun cover. Just, you know, the joys of slapping random things together in Photoshop. It's pretty cool. Person pitch, more like person bitch. Oh, too funny. Initiate actual video segment. So Person Pitch is widely regarded as one of Animal Collective's best releases, even though it only came from one of the members, Panda Bear. That boy Noah worked on this album over the course of several years, since like 2004, and this was released in 2007. And when you put it on, you can understand why. Like 90% of the music here is all samples. With this album, Noah took a big detour from what he was doing with Animal Collective up to that point. This would go on to influence Animal Collective later on, but at that time in early 2007, this was just different. The way it's set up and the way it revolves around samples is much more indebted to plunderphonics and electronica, which is not really something that Animal Collective had really stepped into. I mean, sure, Animal Collective have used some electronics in the past, but their music was never set up in a form that was reminiscent of some kind of electronica. At times, this album is just a straight-up dance record, especially on the longer tracks where the songs just slowly morph over time. Whenever I listen to this album, all I'm thinking of is like, where did these sounds come from? How did he get them? What's making that clicking noise? Is that his guitar or someone else's guitar? And because Noah's pulled samples from all kinds of different places, this album kind of feels worldly. All kinds of different vocal samples are used, such as what sounds like some sort of cultural chant, maybe a bit of some sort of sermon, I'm not even sure. That one vocal sample used on the last half of Bros, which is a really great sample, I might add. I don't know what the dude's saying, I don't know what it's supposed to convey, I don't know what context it's being used in, but it rhythmically works so good with the context of the rest of the song. Like, you gotta remind yourself, Noah didn't just stumble upon all these perfect samples. He had to fish through all kinds of different stuff until he found what he needed. That vocal sample he uses on the second half of Bros was just too perfect for the song for him to just find on first go. This album is very rhythmic in form because of all these samples. It's like a bunch of looped rhythms make up the sound and then Noah just harmonizes over them. The other most notable thing about this album, other than the sample-based nature, is Noah's vocals. Deep within his heart, Noah's always been indebted to pop more than anything. Deacon's the folksy one, Geologist is the more electronic one, Avi's just the weird one, but then Panda just steps in like, guys, it's gotta be sugary and catchy above all else. I do have to say, from what I've heard, his other solo material is pretty hit and miss, but this is definitely a hit. Diving fully into a poppy sound has definitely worked out for Noah here. The way he sings and the way his verses are set up is often very reminiscent of 60s stuff. And when it comes to vocals, the only thing Noah loves more than reverb is the harmonies. Wait a second. What's that? 60s singing structures? Vocal harmonies? Is this Brian Wilson influenced? Is this Beach Boys? Is this Beach Boys? Check this out. Person, pitch, pet sounds. I knew it. In all seriousness here, the comparisons between person pitch and pet sounds are just endless. Seems to me no one can do vocal harmonies without being compared to Brian Wilson. Though I do have to admit the argument's way stronger when you're talking about Merriweather Post Pavilion, so in a way all the people that cry Beach Boys may have a point. Regardless, when I listen to person pitch, I don't really think of Beach Boys. I think of old psychedelic pop in general, but not specifically Brian Wilson. And I think a lot of that may have to do with just Noah's voice. A lot of the times, for some reason, it just sounds a little exotic. He's only from Baltimore, but for some reason the way he sings kind of brings out a more exotic sense. Try to remember always! And this album is really significant not just in context of what Animal Collective has done, but also just the entire indie scene in the 00s. It was at this point that more and more artists started to take more influence from Animal Collective and tried to sound a little more like them. The Animal Collective imitators started to slowly trickle in. And it's understandable because like a lot of the other things they've done, there's just not a lot of other stuff out there that even remotely sounds like this. As cool as this album is, I do have a few hang-ups about it, and because of these hang-ups I kind of just fail to see how some people consider this the best Animal Collective related release. Because there's the songs that go all out, and they're just so good. Take Pills, Bros, Good Girls / Carrots. But then there's the songs, and the opener's especially guilty of this, that kind of just sound like they weren't finished. Either that or they just feel like they don't do all that much. Other than a few one-time sound effects here and there, Comfy and Nautica is pretty much just with Noah slowly singing over that. And when I hear Comfy and Nautica, I just can't help but feel like, are people getting that much out of this song? Is there something I'm missing here? Because it's kind of just a slow little chant. The short little final track, Ponytail, is also kind of similar to this. It's got a fairly minimal instrumental, though I do think it works better with the vocals that it has. Ponytail has a sweet little melody and the instrumental complements that, but it still doesn't really feel like it adds up to that much. I can't help but feel like the reason people praise this album so much is for the select few tracks that just go all out. Because tracks like Bros are legitimately amazing. I just wish there was more of that. If the entire album was to the quality of Bros, I would understand why it was so critically acclaimed. As it stands though, it's kind of like a singles compilation where half the singles are really amazing and the other half are just included. So don't get me wrong, the run from Take Pills to Carrots is excellent. All 4 or 5 of those songs are top quality. I love the way the samples are used to make it feel like you're going on a journey. Take Pills quite literally drags you underwater. Bros makes you feel like you're in this big cultural celebration somewhere in like Africa maybe. I'm Not is very spacey and peaceful, and I love the vocal sample that it revolves around. I love how wild and aggressive Good Girl is, and Carrots is almost as catchy as Bros. But then Search for Delicious kinda just exists. You can hear Noah in the background of this track, but it's so washed out that this may as well be an instrumental. Which brings me to the next thing I'm hung up about on this album, and most of Panda Bear's solo career in general. It's the reverb. The reverb is just too much. I can appreciate reverb in specific circumstances, but Panda Bear just uses too much too often. He always sounds like he's echoing from way off in the distance. This is thick reverb, man. Thick. Extra thick! There's a common criticism of reverb that I often disagree with, that it's kind of a cop-out, like someone's trying to mask the fact that they're not actually that good of a singer. In this circumstance, I don't even care if you're not that good of a singer, Panda. I want to hear your melodies more clearly, because they are good melodies. I just wish these melodies were more upfront and clear. I don't dislike this album by any means. I consider it 8 to 7 range. I just don't really understand the level of critical acclaim it's gotten with these obvious flaws. What it did good, it did really good, but it's far from a perfect album, and I'd say the Animal Collective albums that it influenced are better than this album. So again, I understand its significance to Animal Collective and indie music as a whole, but I don't really think it warrants a 10. And before I close it out with this album, I do want to praise Bros, because Bros legitimately is a masterpiece. Bros is 13 minutes long, though it's kind of split into 2 different sections, so it's more like 2 6-minute songs cross-faded together, but they're definitely the same song because they have the same energy, the same fun, energetic, tribal mood, the very organic, sometimes aquatic sounding, celebratory nature of it all. It's so danceable and it makes you feel like you're celebrating some sort of crowd celebrating who knows what. Best melodies on the album, best use of samples on the album, best overall track progression of the album, especially considering it's still so fun and interesting after 13 minutes. I was raving about this vocal sample before, but this vocal sample in the second half of Bros is the best sample on the entire album. Here, I'm gonna try to imitate it. It would be easier if I knew what he was saying, but I have no idea what he's saying. Just the guitar loop is so good and the way that specific percussion bits go in and out. So yeah, if the entire album was more akin to Bros, I would definitely love this album as much as a lot of other people do. But as it stands, I think it's pretty good. Definitely one of the most noteworthy albums to come out of the Animal Collective group, though in my opinion there's quite a bit better. Here, if you want to know the story behind this, I didn't make this. I don't know who did. Someone at my high school made this, and this dude in the background was our principal. It's beautiful. You've got Norbit. You got Nick Cage. Can I just take a moment to say that the Wat Lady has always been funny, and she should still be a meme right now? No, really, if you send me Wat images, I will laugh. I'm not gonna lie. I love the way Shrek's just doing this Jwad the Gamer face. Oh, I was gonna make an owl gag because Bros starts with owls. Hey look, Bros starts with an owl sound. Who cares? This has been Jezza. I like person pitch to a significant extent. Tune in next time for... Get it? It's like a joke. Like comedy? I'm just so fucking funny. Wait. Food?
I was just gonna tell you that your fly is down. Manager, this is the greatest day of my life!